Today on Steelers Talk, I'm going to be breaking down 6 players on the Steelers roster that are slated to be free agents next offseason that I think could get extended by the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason, that is, if the price is right. Before we get into today's edition of Steelers Talk by Chat Sports, make sure you guys click that subscribe button because we give you guys the most extensive Steelers coverage you can find anywhere on YouTube, 100% free, daily Steelers videos, daily updates on Steelers OTAs and the Aaron Rodgers situation, breaking news coverage if the Steelers trade for a new receiver or if Aaron Rodgers finally comes out of his hole and signs a contract. We also go live at least twice a week on this channel. It's all 100% free. We are currently the largest individually run Steelers news program anywhere on the YouTube platform with over 85,000 Steelers fans already subscribed. So thank you guys so much for clicking that subscribe button. And with that, let's get into our extension candidates here, starting with, of course, TJ Watt. And this has been a big talking point in Steelers Nation this offseason is will the Steelers give TJ that extension and how much is it going to be? And, you know, I do expect this to kind of go down to the wire, kind of similar to the way the Cam Hayward and Pat Freiermuth situations were handled last year where, you know, it got figured out in training camp. I would kind of assume that the same thing is going to happen with TJ this year, where TJ is going to be asking for a certain amount of money. The Steelers are going to be kind of having their number, and they're not going to really budge either way until, you know, we get close to the season. And then I'm guessing the Steelers will probably end up being the ones that fall off their number. But, of course, the big storyline here is Myles Garrett got $40 million per season from the Cleveland Browns this offseason, completely resetting the edge rusher market, and as a result, the Steelers may have to pay millions of dollars more for TJ Watt because they waited to pay him, and that's unfortunate. But listen, man, like in the end, I do think that Pittsburgh needs to pay up, and I think they will pay up. And the reason why I think they need to pay up is because they claim that they're still trying to win Super Bowls this year and especially next year before Cam Hayward ends up retiring. They want him to retire a champion. And plain and simply, guys, without TJ Watt, the Steelers have no chance of doing that. You look at just his general impact, guys, when he is healthy, when he's on the field versus when he's not on the field, the Steelers are a completely different team. Not only on the defensive side of the ball, where the opponent points per game drops down by a touchdown, they get more than a sack more per game with Watt on the field versus without him on the field. They get almost a half turnover more per game when he's on the field versus not. The win percentage speaks for itself. The Steelers are one of the best teams in football when he's on the field. Doesn't matter who their quarterback is. That's like with Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett. They're a winning football team when TJ Watt is their quarterback, and they're not when he's not on the field, plain and simply. But also the offensive numbers go up quite significantly as well. Then if you think that that's just based on his career and not on recent history, just last year, guys, I mean, the same win percentage before the injury last year, the ankle injury he suffered versus the Philadelphia Eagles, didn't win a single game after that injury was suffered. And then the points per game offensively dropped significantly. The defense gave up 10 more points a game. The sack, you get one less sack per game with him out of the lineup and almost 2 less turnovers per game with him injured. Now, TJ obviously played through the injury, but he was significantly hindered. And I don't think I have to tell Steelers fans just how impactful a healthy TJ Watt is to the Steelers team as a whole. And all I'm going to say here is that after the market reset with Myles Garrett earlier this offseason, I just hope they can get this done before Micah Parsons and the Cowboys get their deal done. Because what if Micah signs a contract for $42 million and then TJ's like, I need $43 million per season? If that happens, the Steelers are going to be in a very difficult spot. $40 million per season plus is already putting the Steelers in a tough situation financially, but it's one that I think, TJ is certainly the kind of impact player that you certainly give that kind of money to. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Would you pay TJ Watt $40 million per season, even though, he's starting to get close to the other side of 30 years old? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comment section for today's pinned question. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time by giving me simply a yes or a no. Another player that I could see get extended this year is Jaylen Warren, the running back. Now, Warren is somebody that is a fan favorite and is one of my favorites, all right? If there was ever a Sperry psycho on this team, it would be Jaylen Warren. He's an awesome pass protector. He's great on third down as a receiving back as well. Contact balance is through the roof. And, just since 2022, all right, you look at some of the advanced metrics. He's second in explosive run rate. I mean, Najee Harris didn't give you any explosive runs whatsoever. Jaylen was providing those explosive runs for you pretty much exclusively. He's been sixth in the league since 2022 in yards after contact, sixth in the league in yards per carry. So he's super efficient, and then sixth in success rate. So Jaylen Warren is a phenomenal running back, guys. And, I think that for the right price, I would lock him up. Now, if he's asking for like top 5 running back money, maybe I don't give him that extension. But like if he loves it here in Pittsburgh and he understands he's probably going to be the number 2 running back in this system to Caleb Johnson in the years to come, and he's willing to take like a number 2 running back type of contract, then absolutely, I would say lock him up to that long-term contract. And obviously, you have to get the right price for him. He's going to be your kind of number 2 running back of the future with Caleb Johnson coming in, who I expect to be the number 1 guy of the future. But for the right price tag, I'm absolutely willing to keep Jaylen Warren for the long haul. He is a Steeler. Then we get to Deshon Elliott here, who had a really good season last year, and the Steelers got a steal for him on a 2-year contract. They're not really paying him all that much for somebody that really had the impact that he had last year. Now, only 1 interception and 6 pass breakups last year, but over 100 tackles as a strong safety. He was all over the place. He was really good against screens. He was a very sure tackler, and he's just somebody that you can really rely on out there as one of the better and more impactful defensive players for the Pittsburgh Steelers last season. I think he's a perfect fit for this scheme, and if the Steelers can get him for kind of a similar price tag to where he's at right now, I absolutely think the Steelers should extend him. I think that he's an awesome player. I think he's a great fit for the locker room and the defensive scheme that they run here in Pittsburgh. And I would love to see him locked up for another couple years. Then Calvin Austin III. This is a receiver here. Obviously, you give DK Metcalf that big contract extension after you trade for him. But Calvin Austin is somebody that I think is a really good number 3 wide receiver, all right? Like, he is very underrated, not only from the national media, but I also think Steelers fans. Like, people talk about the Steelers wide receiver room, like you got DK Metcalf and then a bunch of nobodies. But, like, you watch the film last year, Calvin Austin III is open all the time. And, it kind of goes against popular narrative because he's small and most people just associate small receivers with slot receivers, but I think he's actually better on the outside. He's so quick with his feet that he can avoid punches when people play press against him, and he's just so goddamn fast, and he changes directions like that. He reminds me a lot of Brandon Cooks. Now, he hasn't really put up Brandon Cooks' level of production, at least when Cooks was in his prime, but Cooks in his heyday, man, was a smaller receiver that was better on the outside than he was in the slot. He was a deep threat with great speed and fantastic route running ability and really solid hands. Calvin Austin III describes that to a T. Made some big-time, tough, contested catches for this team down the stretch last year. He's a speed demon who's a deep threat, and he's a fantastic route runner. He's not going to provide much for you in terms of run blocking, so he's not really a true number 2 receiver, at least not in this system with Arthur Smith, who really relies on run blocking. But in pass-heavy situations, Calvin Austin III is an absolute weapon. And for like $10 million per season, I think that'd be more than fair for a guy like Calvin Austin III. Then you get Isaac Seumalo here, somebody that is getting older. He's on the other side of 30, but he's been one of the most reliable guards in football for a very long time. The Steelers really like him. He is the leader on that offensive line. And as you guys can see with his career, PFF grades, as of late, since 2019, he's been one of the highest grading offensive linemen in the game for a very long time. Last year dealt with some injuries and was still in the top 30 among starting guards in football last year. And the 2 years prior to that, when he was more healthy, he was like a top 12, even top 10 offensive guard in football. So he's just super, super reliable when he's healthy again. And, down the stretch, he played some really good football for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So if you wanted to kind of lock him up for another year, I would certainly be supportive of that, especially if it's for the right price. Then we get to Miles Killebrew here. And, you might be saying, but Jack, he's just a special teamer. But Miles Killebrew is a fantastic locker room presence. He's a team captain. And listen, man, Killebrew has more blocked punts than the rest of the league combined since he entered the league. All right, that is an unbelievable statistic. That's just crazy to me, man. Like, he's good for at least one block punt a season. Like, he is. And sometimes it's multiple. Like, having a special teams ace like Miles Killebrew, it just screams everything Steelers, because this team, more than other teams, really prioritizes the special teams area of the game, that third kind of component to the game. And Killebrew is just the type of guy you want in your locker room. And because he doesn't play defense, he's a special teamer, he's going to be super cheap. He wants to be here for his entire career. We actually interviewed him on the channel back during Super Bowl week. He's a fantastic dude. And, I just want him to be a Steeler for much longer than just this season. So I wouldn't mind it at all, especially for the right price, if the Steelers end up extending Miles Killebrew. So outside of TJ Watt, we talked about some other names today of players that could be extended by the Steelers this offseason. I don't expect all of them to get extended. We're just going over candidates today. But let me know which one of the players outside of TJ Watt we talked about today, or somebody else we didn't talk about today, who you want to give an extension to. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section down below. And make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. You guys are the absolute best. We will have more Steelers content coming your way throughout the week here, so make sure you click that subscribe button to never miss any of it.